Our next question is, would it be possible for arts and sciences students to take more than 31 hours of business classes, as 31 hours is the current limit and the regimented requirement for the business certificate?
You know, the number one minor for arts and sciences students, and that is the one that's most frequently endorsed, is the minor in business. I think that's a really good model. I once had a job where I was the manager of career development for a major bank, and my task was to select a group of individuals who would have 20 years of experience in the organization, and out of that group would one day emerge the CEO. Now this is a $10 billion bank, so it's a big bank back in those days. And we recruited from major Big Ten universities, some of the best privates in the area. And one of the things that we observed made the best long-term executive within an organization was an individual who had an arts and sciences degree as an undergraduate, but then also had some technical business skills. And the CEO of the organization once said to me, you know, it's all the people decisions that you encounter in this role. And the way you learn about people, the essence of people, is through your arts and sciences majors, whether it's history or biology or exercise science, whatever that major is. But because of the way that we have the opportunity to take a variety of courses, that plays out at a later time, I think, very importantly. And so I think the critical thing in terms of looking forward is how do we build that kind of set of skills in the current experience in terms of helping people forward.
Just from personal experience, I know that the College of Arts and Sciences has been really great at integrating business courses into the core and major requirements. As a poli-sci major, I'm also a legal studies track, concentration, and two of the requirements is to take business courses in economics and macro and microeconomics. So the College of Arts and Sciences, I think, is very aware of the want for students to take these business courses, as well as making it possible for them to integrate that into their schedules. As for adding more time, I think that goes along with core revision and making it more flexible so students can take different courses even if they are in different colleges. Business is obviously a very important college and of course to take a college as your sin.
Do you have a Twitter account or somewhere where people can see your office's progress?
Very pleased to say that we have yes, the answer is yes, the simple answer is yes. But I was just going to say, Joe Moore is here, and Joe has the role of promotions coordinator in the college. One of the things that is important is sharing the good news of what happens in the college. There's just some fabulous things that happen in terms of student achievements, in terms of faculty activities and achievements. And one of my goals actually was to try to step up our use of social communication media as a way for getting the message out. The Twitter accounts are one way to do that. And one of the things that Joe does is ensure that we get messages out in that way. So that is a relatively recent development, and I would say, frankly, that we're probably getting better at what we do in terms of getting messages out. But considering that people use many different outlets, we were just talking earlier, what's the best way to get a message around? Is it a listserv on an email? Is it some kind of text message? Twitter is another way to do it. But we're trying to use a variety of media to try to get out the good news about the college and the things that happen. Sharing good news is very, very important.
Well, for the College of Arts and Sciences specifically, we just recently created a listserv that reaches all 2,700 approximately students. So that allows us to communicate specifically with students in our college, which is this is the first time that we've had that ability. We also recently created a Facebook fan page, and I believe are in the process of creating a Twitter page as well. So you can now follow us on those different social media sites to see what we're up to, and that's really going to help us as we begin to promote the core revision process and other activities happening within the College of Arts and Sciences.
What, in your opinion, is the most pressing issue to students in college?
The most pressing issue to students in the college, probably twofold. One would be, will there be a job for me when I graduate, or where will I go in life after Creighton? I mean, at some level, all of us have that appreciation. My daughter just graduated last May in English, and she's trying to discern the next step, probably graduate school in 19th century literature. But she wants to make sure she's, confident about that. And I know she and I talked about it, and she didn't think a whole lot about jobs when she was a student, but she started thinking a whole lot about life after college, in the closing months. So I think at some level, that's always there for us. I think another issue related to that is probably the affordability of it. We know that our families live in challenging times. We also know that the college or university is a very personnel-heavy expenditure. Most of our budget in the college is about paying people to be instructors or some variant of that. So how do we do that in a cost-efficient way to keep education affordable? I don't know that you think about that every day, but I mean, again, in some way, you're probably wondering the combination of the two. Am I going to be able to, to live a good life if I have a lot of college loans to pay off or whatever? So.
I would agree with Dean Lueger that finding a job, as well as making sure that we have the foundation for knowledge for the workplace, is a very important issue facing students our age. It's getting more and more competitive to apply to grad school programs and as well for jobs. And so making sure we have internship opportunities and research opportunities while we're still in college, I think is a very pressing matter, especially as the economy, as Dean Lueger said, is kind of in a slump right now that not only takes away jobs, but it takes away internships as well. And that experience is really, really necessary when we begin to compete on a more global scale outside of the Creighton community, even outside of the Omaha community. So I think that would be it.
Is there a way the money in the College of Arts and Sciences can be redistributed so that humanities majors can have technological benefits in the classroom, and not just the science majors?
The use of technology in the classroom is really dependent on the faculty members' willingness to take it up and engage it. And actually, in January, we're offering for the first time a series of workshops for faculty to actually develop their technology skills for exactly that purpose, to be able to implement things more in the classroom. And to do that, we're actually experimenting. We're purchasing a number of, I think in this case it's iPads, to help faculty members experiment with how they might use this in a media setting. I mean, in the humanities, for example, there are a few examples of the use of technology. I mean, all of you saw that in a crude form with the word processor up front, but that's an old version of it. But there are some things in history, for example, if any of you have taken any courses with Dr. Lavelle, about different sites, coordinating with different sites that would enable one to actually do sort of joint conferencing and to look at Native American mapping in different places. So that's another example. But yeah, we're trying to get that moving forward. And one of the ways of doing it is to provide a stimulus to faculty to explore different possibilities in terms of trying out different things. And so, yes, we're trying to do that.
I think also you'll see a lot of the newer technologies, such as the classroom capture. Those are being placed in the science classrooms mostly because they serve more students. And so there are more pilot programs to see if that's something that we can begin to implement across the entire college. I do think there is slightly a gap between the sciences and the technology that they have as opposed to the humanities, but there are definitely departments within the college that have recognized this gap and have taken a lead in making sure that that gap is closed, specifically the journalism department with their budget, and make sure that they budget in money for computers and a very high-tech lab to make sure that they have all of the necessary equipment for their students to keep them updated and to keep them competitive. So I think it just depends on also the department's chairs and the teachers pressing for those technologies and really making sure that they're the ones that are allowing their students to have those technologies